What's up, you guys? How are you? Did you know that today is day 10 of recording videos? And I'm just so excited. 10. That means I'm 1/10 of the way done with 100 videos. Can you believe it, Teddy? Anyways, I just wanted to show this cutie off because, he's here visiting for a little bit and he's stealing the show at home. But I've got a couple of other dogs that love the attention too. But today I wanted to talk about something so important because I'm currently in this season and a lot of my friends are in this season. So I obviously know I'm not alone. So my hope is in talking openly and honestly about what it's like to be in your 40s and not feel established. Um, will resonate with you and allow you to not feel so alone, frustrated, impatient about what's next for you. My name is Brianna. I am first and foremost a 20 plus year licensed clinical psychotherapist. But beyond that, I am also a multifaceted mentor. I do coaching for 6 and 7 figure business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. I'm also a stylist, an author, and a speaker. And I am here on my 10th day in a row ish. You can go back and see why, of recording YouTube videos to just strengthen my speaking skills, develop more confidence when it comes to being on camera, and learning to be more clear in my messaging and storytelling. So here I am, and I'm encouraging you along the way, no matter what age you are, to find something that challenges you but also lights you up. And I have been having so much fun on camera. So thank you to those of you who are watching. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you for liking my videos, for subscribing, for sharing them. And I can't wait for the day to come when we develop a community here where I am getting like messages that are from people that are relating to my stories and wanting to share theirs as well. So the sun is going to be shining, but whatever, I'm not complaining because at least it ain't 20 degrees outside now, Mo. So I want to talk about being 43 now. I'm 43 now and feeling like I thought that I would be way more established at this point in my life and in my career than I am. And I I share that from the perspective of I'm not unhappy, I'm not ungrateful, I'm not feeling as if I have a lot to catch up on or that I've done a lot wrong. It's just I really truly feel like I should be somewhere different than I am. And what I'm having in conversations with a lot of my girlfriends around my age is that we've almost maxed out in our current career. Again, 20 years in the mental health field, like I deserve an award for that. I've got another friend 20 plus years in the hair industry. I've got another friend 20 plus years as a practicing medical professional. So it's like it gets tiring when you've done it for so long. And what I'm seeing right now is this influx of women in their late 30s and early to mid 40s who are desiring more in their life. That what we have done up to this point is great. But deep down, for me, I'm going to speak for myself, and please tell me if you can relate to this, but like deep down inside, I know that there's more that exists that I actually do have the capacity for doing when it comes to my purpose and using my gifts in their biggest form. And so um, I I want you, as I'm looking at my notes here, to really lean into this if you're in this space because you're not alone. And it can feel a little bit embarrassing, maybe. It can also feel frustrating. But I want to remind you that those feelings are actually what stop you from taking action in the places that you're finding yourself more passionate about going into. So there's this thing that I am noticing within my own life right now where I am watching my peers expanding. I have a really good friend who finally started an interior decorating business that she should have started years ago. I have friends who really love their current careers, have been working in it for years, and are thriving and doing amazing. I have friends just like me who were directed to close things down in order to start something else, but they're in this weird, like, out of balance stage where the thing they're supposed to be starting hasn't happened yet, but like they've left behind something. So, like, where's all the money coming from, and how are you managing all of that? And so, but in all of this, the censuses of conversations we're having is that we're underusing our gifts, that our gifts have so much more to give that they're not being used all the way. Which is why I feel like coming on to come here which is why I feel like coming on to YouTube was a way for me to start using my gift in a new way and reach a new platform and hopefully reach new people. um, so that I could develop a community where, I could help. I could help more, because at the end of the day, that's what I am. I'm a natural helper. I'm a natural healer. I want people to live more joyfully, more peacefully in their lives. And so I do that as a therapist. I do that as a stylist. I do that in my speaking. I do that in my coaching. And so that is the bottom line. But I feel like as women, we carry this responsibility while we are, especially in this place of learning and figuring out what our next calling is. And for someone like me, who is now a wife and now a stepmom, and also right now financially taking care of our household, there is a lot of responsibility laying on my shoulders to take care of just the day to day things. While I also know instinctually and internally there is something that is calling me into bigger rooms and bigger places. And so balancing that adds to even more that you're carrying, because you're carrying this unknown thing. You're carrying, for me, I'm not saying you, but like, I'm carrying this unknown part of my life. I'm carrying this big expectation for what I know is possible for myself and how I want to be using my gifts more. And what happens in that is it feels like there's sometimes this internal whisper that's like, is this it? Is this is this is this all it is I'm going to be, in a stage of my life coming back to a career that I had gotten out of because the coaching business I had started wasn't in integrity with where I was going, but now somehow it's coming back again, but not at the place where I can leave this job. Like, I feel personally, I feel where I'm at in my career is like where I was when I was like divorced, when I was like starting this new life and figuring out who I am. The funny thing is like, I know in the depths of my soul who Brianna is as a person, what her needs are, what her likes are, what her boundaries are. But like, when it comes to this career piece and these new labels that I'm having as a mom and a wife, it's this odd level of pressure to carry. Um, and so I want my story to remind you that you don't have to carry all of that pressure alone, and you are important, and what you need is important, and what you desire is important, both as a career woman, as a mom, as a wife, as a girlfriend, as a daughter. And so I really hope that in talking about this candidly, it blesses you in a way that not only maybe inspires you to take action in some way towards unveiling an unused part of your gift and really stepping into a new level of your capacity, but also that you're going to see yourself in a beautiful way that says, wow, like, I'm still curious, I'm still playing, I'm still willing to evolve as someone in her 40s who, when you look at most people in their 40s, are established and staying and content with where they are. I'm not. I'm just not one of those people. I really am not. But comparison, I feel like in our 40s really hits differently. Comparison in our 40s is less about like jealousy and less about like questioning the timing of your life. And it's more about these like smaller pieces of our life. It's more about what we thought we'd be like harvesting and creating. Like I'm thinking about like the fruits of my labor. I did not expect at 40, I knew I would be helping people, but what I did not expect at 43 was to be in like such a huge amount of debt, starting out being a mom and a wife, and being in a place where I was tired of my career. I thought I was going to be a therapist for the rest of my life, but that's not what I feel in the depths of my soul that I'm being like called to be. And so like, I just don't, I never prepared or thought I would be in a place where I would have to be like creating something new again. I also feel like in this place, I'm waiting for things that ultimately I thought I would already have. Now, I just did that video on being in a waiting season. So I'm taking this waiting season as a place to develop my character, increase my capacity, build my endurance, be really in integrity with like the things that I'm saying and speaking and actually living those out in my life. And so I do feel like I'm becoming a better person because of all of those things. So I'm not going to complain about the waiting season, but that piece of harvesting, I grew up as a farmer's daughter. My dad was a farmer. And so I would watch him get up at 5 a.m. and not come home until after sundown. I would watch him on the tractor, like cutting the alfalfa and cutting the wheat and milling the corn and doing all of the things. And, as I watched him, I saw this man working so hard for all of this crop. But then when you trade the crop in, it was like we were still living paycheck to paycheck. And so it was like there was so much work, so much sweat, so many times having to fix things that were broken, only to collect this beautiful substance that could feed so much, then to get so little back in return. And so that's kind of the feeling that I have, is like I've been giving so much, but I'm not getting back what I feel like I deserve in return. And I'm not just talking about like monetarily with money. Like there's a sense of fulfillment that I'm missing, that I am really starting to look for, that I checked already in my 20s and early 30s, and that I'm looking for to experience differently in my 40s and beyond. So, comparison, it doesn't look like in our 40s where we're like looking at popularity or looking at looks, or to me, looking at likes on social media or looking at how many people are subscribing. Like, I don't care about that thing. What I care about is my impact. What I care about is the legacy that I'm leaving behind. What I care about is the influence that I have and how I'm using it in a way that is going to subject the people listening, subject you who are listening to a positive change in your life. I want to be more fulfilled, period. I just want to be more fulfilled. Titles do not fulfill me. I love being a wife. I love being a mom. And those are giving me aspects of a part of myself that I knew I had to give and wanted to give. But for some reason, what I'm seeing in women in their 40s is this juxtaposition where they have these things they wanted, but it's not that it's not enough, but their career is not giving them the ultimate piece of purpose that they had desired. That's where I feel like I'm at. And so at this age, I'm learning that I'm just questioning my timing of certain things. And I feel like there's you, whether it's you watching or someone that's in this same boat. And part of what I think that struggle is that we have been lied to when it comes to being established, that there has to be this refined, repositioned, prepared, like life has to look a certain way. And that day of age is gone. Like being established is very different now. And I'm getting used to knowing that it's okay to be a little bit rocky on the bottom while I'm figuring out what's next, because God's calling on my life. Like that's the foundation that I can stand on and trust is going to carry me through this next phase of life. So for those of you who feel like you're underused, like your capacity is underused or your gift is underused, it doesn't mean you are unused. It just means you might be unseen. So how can you find a way to position yourself in life where you're being more exposed, where you're exposing your skill set, your gifts, your talents, and all of those things. Now, what does the being established even mean? Well, does it mean stable income to you? Does it mean recognizing the authority that you have? Does it mean the calling that you have? Does it mean that you're finished with whatever it is that you're building? I think you have to get clear on what established means to you, because that word is valuable in different ways to different people. For me, being established means that when I wake up in the morning, from the time to the time I go to sleep, I feel so completely in lockstep with my life and am fulfilled in the things that I'm doing. And I know that I'm living in my calling. That's what it means to me. And, I feel like if you are a Christian, then you'll believe this, that like God wants to refine you. He wants to realign you. He wants to grow you, and he wants to give you more responsibility to further the kingdom along. So you're not always behind. It's just the fact that you're being repositioned, right? So what do you do when you feel behind? What do you do in this moment when you feel behind? I have some things that I want to give you. And number one is that you want to make sure that you are grounded. This isn't about manifesting things, it is about making an audit of comparing yourself to other people. I want you to define what established means to you, like I mentioned earlier. I want you to separate your calling from your title. I had to learn that the hard way because I was looking at my life in a box. Well, I went to school to be a therapist, so I have to be a therapist. I can't wait to share this story with you. But what ended up happening was these doors started aligning for me with my style, which you can't tell in these videos, y'all, because I don't dress up, because I'm doing these videos at like 10 o'clock at night after I've seen 8 clients. So apologies, one day you'll see me really dressed to impress, okay? But what your calling and your career and in life are different. And so you have to accept that like those are separate of each other. Hush, do not bark. Um, it is okay developing your skills quietly. I think I've been doing that for a long time. Hey, no, this is my life. But I want to give you 4 anchor points here. Okay. Number one is stop measuring your life against someone else's harvest. I'm doing that in real time now. I'm really just having to accept that I am looking through a narrow lane that belongs to Brianna and nobody else. And I can't measure where I'm going or where I'm at or what it is I'm going to be doing in the end, because what anybody else is doing doesn't fit with my skill set and my gifts. So it doesn't even matter. Right. Number 2 is you have to, again, define what established is. Number 3, developing your gifts quietly. This dog is throwing me off. All right. So I apologize. What did I say about not being perfect, right? Developing your gifts quietly. Stop barking. Looks like what things can you put into place? What areas do you need to learn? What skills do you need to actually develop? For me and my character, it was being more integrous in what I was saying and how I was living. It was being more patient. It was learning how to wait. It was learning how to let go of control. I've been doing all of those things behind the scene for a while now in order to strengthen my own resiliency and endurance in these times that are challenging and troubling. And number 4, you've really got to carry yourself like somebody who is preparing and in preparation, not defeated. And I started doing that a while ago when God took me away from my coaching business. I started getting into my closet and playing dress up like it was nobody else's business. And I started to notice a shift in how I felt about myself, but I also noticed the encounters and experiences I was having with other people. And that led me into new rooms. And let me tell you how many amazing things happened then. So I just want to remind you, as a woman in your 40s, you are not late. You are not behind. There's nothing wrong with you. Just because something is being delayed doesn't mean that you will not get there. Remember, you are always being developed. And even at 43, like, there are things to work on that I know that I have to look at. And gathering the wisdom that I need to step into that next room is going to be the utmost important thing as I go in that direction. So fast and quick today. My name is Brianna. Thank you for listening, and can't wait to see you on video number 11.